Day 93. We're going to finish up the notes on river systems. Stages of a river system. As the river erodes and deposits, it changes the topography of the land around it. Remember that the word topography means the rising and falling of the different elevations, where the hills are, where the valleys are, that kind of stuff. So rivers change the levels of the land around it. Development of a river is divided into two stages, something called youthful and mature. A youthful river has a distinctive look to it. The energy of a youthful river is used to erode the bed of the river's channel, giving it a channel shaped like this. Rather steep sides, generally, and a sharp bottom, rather narrow, as it's cutting down into the ground, eroding it more and more. Typically, the characteristics of a youthful river include no floodplain, no meanders, it's relatively straight, and no oxbow lakes. Remember that oxbow lakes are made by meanders growing together. And so if you don't have meanders, you're not going to have oxbow lakes either. Relatively straight channel, waterfalls or rapids, few tributaries, and a steep gradient. In other words, they're thinking that this hasn't had time to erode very much. So what kind of features do you have if you don't have erosion? And this is what you get. So here we have a picture. I'd like you to label these four shapes. So the head, that would be up here, right up here at the top. The head is the start of a river. So right up there. The mouth, that is the bottom of the river. We have an arrow pointing there already. Right, mouth right there. V-shaped channel is this right here. So you can write V-shaped over here with an arrow towards this as well. And then a waterfall. That would be right here. It's kind of hard to see, but there's an arrow pointing to it nonetheless. Those are the two main features of a youthful river: V-shaped channel, waterfall. Okay, mature rivers. The thought here is that these have had more time to do lots of erosion and to form different features caused by erosion. Let's read. Once a youthful river has eroded downward as far as it can, it starts to erode the bank of the river's channel, giving it a channel shaped like this. So we have a wide river valley that has been eroded as the river flows back and forth over time and erodes the banks, slightly changing its position over the years. This is when it is classified as a mature river. Mature rivers typically have characteristics like an obvious floodplain. A floodplain, once again, is flat areas on the sides of the river that flood periodically as we get more and more rain during the springtime, for instance, or the melting of snow. Another characteristic is many meanders. Those are bends in the river. Oxbow lakes, those are when meanders grow together. They have more tributaries than a youthful river, and a flat gradient. They've eroded down, and so there's not as many steep areas. So let's label these parts of this mature river. The head is up here again at the start of the river. The mouth is at the bottom here. U-shaped channel. So again, that's going to be down here by the mouth. I have two labels in the same spot. Oxbow Lake is going to be right here. Looks like a crescent moon. Tributary right along here. And here's another one. And here's a third one. And a fourth one. Let's label those as tributary. And then meander. Any of these bends would be considered a meander. So you can circle this bend right here and Draw a line over to the meander if you want, or you can write the word meander right there. So here is a progression of rivers as they age, according to current theories. Here we have a youthful river that is just eroding down into the dirt, and so we get steep sides, a relatively pointy bottom like a V, and it's relatively straight. Now, as it erodes down to this rock layer at the bottom, it can't erode down anymore, but it can erode the sides. And so gradually the sides get eroded, and we have this flattish section that develops. The river slowly changes its bends and its route because it erodes the sides in different ways. And so this flat area gets wider and wider over time. And here we can see after a long period of time, this flat area is rather wide. That's called the floodplain. So this would be a mature river. Lots of windiness here as it erodes in different ways. Flooding. Flooding occurs when runoff of water is faster than the river's discharge. Nope, that's wrong. Should be slower. Causes of flooding: heavy rains and thaws, blockage of the river's channel, removal of natural ground cover such as soil, plants, and large trees. So heavy rains and thaws will cause lots of water to develop, and it can't get all down the river at the same time, and so it floods over the sides. Blockage of the river's channel is like when debris, like trees and bushes and all that kind of stuff, or more commonly, big hunks of ice. Big hunks of ice can block up a river like a dam and cause the water to back up and to flood. Removal of natural ground cover such as soil, plants, and large trees. What that does is it prevents the water from soaking into the ground as fast. And so the water rushes over the ground down to the river, makes the river higher, and then it floods. Ground cover helps to slow the runoff so it doesn't get to the river as fast. Flooding: when a stream overflows its banks, the coarse sediments on the lode pile up along the bank, forming natural levees. So we had these big piles of dirt along the sides of the river like walls, and those are called levees. Fine sediments cover the floodplain, creating fertile soil. So that's one reason why most of the food of Egypt is grown in the area of the Nile, not far from the Nile at all. It's not just the water that's a benefit there, but they also have more fertile soil there. And farther away from the river, the soil is much more sandy and parched. As the water flows back to the river, new tributaries form. Here's Mississippi River. Back in '93, it had very bad problems with some flooding. Fox Lake has had flooding as well on more than a couple occasions. Flood control. Forest and soil conservation is kind of important for flood control. Building dams, we can control the level behind the dam and control the rate of the water moving downstream. So they try to have space behind the dam. They don't want the dam completely filled all the time. They want the water to be down a little bit with the dam being higher. That way, if we get lots and lots of rain at some time that would cause flooding downstream, you close up the dam and you hold the water back. The water over here will rise up higher and higher on the dam, but hopefully it will stop rising before when the rain stops coming down. And then slowly over the coming days and weeks, they can release all that water, little bits at a time, to the lower parts. Artificial levees are another way of controlling flooding. They will have these artificial mounds of dirt going along the river so that when the river rises, it can only flood this first little bit, and they can only flood this little part of the river bank, and it might come up here a little bit, but it doesn't spill over. It's like a dam that goes along the side of the river. An overflow channel is a big ditch in the floodplain to carry extra water away from populated areas. So it's like a man-made river that would carry flood water to another place that won't cause so much damage. And that's the end of today's notes.